bridging the crypto markets and the DeFi markets with traditional finance, and doing that by putting a public company wrapper around a way to get exposure and learn about, what these companies do is really important. Otherwise, the timeline for capital to inflow into crypto is going to be much harder. Most of the DATs now are just buying and holding, and they don't actually have operations. And so I think that what differentiates us is, we want the alpha in our stock to come from operations driving scalable, high margin revenue versus just, hey, I bought a pile of Bitcoin or ETH and if it goes up, I'll do well. So that's kind of where our focus is.
How do we feel about that DAT or DAT trend actually? Because there are people that are kind of challenging it, and in a way it's a form of centralization, whilst the ethos or the origin of blockchain in particular is all about decentralization and things like self-custody.
It's really a good thing in that it's bringing awareness to the market. It's bringing and with that awareness and exposure, there's capital inflows that are coming that otherwise wouldn't happen. And for crypto to really take off, there needs to be a bridge. And so bridging the crypto markets and the DeFi markets with traditional finance, and doing that by putting a public company wrapper around a way to get exposure and learn about, what these companies do is really important. Otherwise, the timeline for capital to inflow into crypto is going to be much harder. So I think whether you're just kind of a plain vanilla DAT like a BMNR, which holds $12, $13 billion of Ethereum, it doesn't really do anything else, or a company like ours that has deep operations, which is driving scalable revenue, you're going to learn about it and you're going to get exposure to it. And for most investors, they're already in the traditional ecosystem. So I think it's really good that we're seeing these come to market. I thought I was late to the game when I got into crypto in 2013.
Yeah.
Clearly not.
Okay.
It was such a nascent industry at that point. Why I say it's still ground zero now is over the last 10 years, any companies, whether public or private, that operated, at least in the US, were under the thumb of the SEC saying, Ethereum security, or maybe it's not, but we're not going to tell you, but we'll investigate you if you touch it. And so, I think the biggest kind of catalyst is we have clear guidelines to what you can do. We have the Genius Act, which is going to allow for stablecoins. The Clarity Act most likely is going to come through at some point. And if you just go, the proof's in the pudding. If you go to the SEC website a year ago, on the front page in bold red type, it said, beware of crypto scams, right? It would have all this stuff. You go to the SEC's website today, and what you see is Paul Atkins doing a promotional video on the tokenization of securities and real-world assets on the front page. And so that's why I think it's ground zero. When you had regulatory uncertainty, capital couldn't flow in, large institutions couldn't come in. And now with that certainty, the money's starting to flow, regardless of the, crypto kind of having a blip in terms of price this last week. You're seeing real money start to come in, real applications get built, and I'm a much bigger fan of Ethereum than I am Bitcoin, because Ethereum can do something, right? What is it? 60% plus all stablecoins are built on Ethereum. It's where all DeFi happens. So that's where the tokenization of real-world assets, I think, is going to more likely than not happen, or be the main driver.
Really interesting. And do you think all of this is because of Donald Trump? This shift you're talking about with the SEC, and which is kind of the U.S. stance on crypto, which of course leads, what other markets then do?
I think so, right? It is crazy. It's one person. But if you look at it, there's been an industry fighting for this for a while, right? Like Coinbase creates Stand with Crypto. There's a lot of money coming in, and I think crypto is a bipartisan issue. I've talked to some lobbyists, and there's really an age gap. Like if you look at, not to get political, if you look at Biden, he just didn't understand. He was too old, right? I look at my parents, and they're just old. Like they don't.
Trump is only a few years less than Biden, isn't
he? Yeah, he is, but
people say it's his sons that have.
It's his sons. It's 100%.
And his youngest son.
And Eric Trump's a huge a proponent of. All his kids are, and they actually they became interested in crypto because they had their bank accounts shut, and they had basically lawfare. And that's something, if you've been in the crypto space as long as we have, I've had our company bank account got shut by Capital One. Then they shut my joint account with my wife. Well, no, they shut the company. They shut our company account. They shut my personal account. They shut the joint account with my wife, and they shut her account.
That's wild.
And it's like, because what, I'm the CEO of a public company that we were at the time mining Bitcoin. Like, we're just buying computer hardware, plugging in and getting a digitized token. Like,
Well,
what?
and innovation moves, right? So, I mean, if you block innovation in one place, like when, China banned Bitcoin mining,
Yep.
miners just moved, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't actually, the genie doesn't just go miraculously go back in the bottle, right?
Yeah, no, 100% agree. Like, there's no getting rid of crypto. The genie's been out of the bottle for a while. It's just, do we want it? Do we want this innovation in the U.S.? And I look at it as, if you kind of zoom out a bit, in this century so far, there's been 3 huge technological developments. The first is going back about 25 years. We had the internet, right? It was the digitization of information, the proliferation of that information on a global scale. Starting 10 plus years ago, we have blockchain technology, which is as impactful as the internet. It's the tokenization of assets and the tokenization of value and the movement of those assets globally without a trusted third party. It's what the internet can't do until you have blockchain technology. And the third's AI. And those are the 3 biggest technological themes in the century so far. And the fact that like our government for the better part of a decade was trying to push the one of the largest technological innovations in the century outside of the country was absolutely crazy.
Coming from Canada, this of course resonates. We wish, Canada was more open, although since yesterday, Mark Carney in the new budget announced legislation upcoming for stablecoin. So that was a very big one for us. You mentioned AI. How are you leveraging AI with your business?
I mean, we use it, literally, I was talking to our VP of engineering, today. So we use it in all aspects, right? The developers use it for coding. On the, corporate side, we use it for research. We use it for writing, anything from, helping write an email to helping write a press release to doing, research on tax or, I mean, you name it. It's one of the best resources we have now. We've probably eliminated 2 to 3 jobs by utilizing AI. I mean, if you look at Ethereum, since like 2016, it's the number 1 performing asset. It beat Bitcoin, it beat NVIDIA. If you look at what it can do in terms of stable coins, the tokenization of other real world assets on top of it due to its decentralization. So I think price-wise, Ethereum's going higher. I know this week's been a tough week, but I'm very bullish on the price of Ethereum. I think it easily gets to 10,000 plus. I don't know when that happens. Probably not this year, probably, next year. So that's on the price side. On the utility, and this is what I think I'm most interested in, is there's just applications getting built on top of it. So obviously stablecoins are the biggest use case, but they're just endless use cases. You have real estate titles. Like, why do we have title insurance? That's kind of stupid. Car titles, like the tokenization of health records, like all of this information, I think will more likely than not get built on Ethereum's blockchain or tokenized and secured by Ethereum's blockchain.